Everybody, this is DearMamaSal and it is Monday morning and a beautiful 19 degrees already here in southern British Columbia, and that would make it the equivalent of 66 if you were in northern Washington state. We are obviously in for a hot one. Not a cloud in the sky, it looks smoggy, which means there's an inversion layer going on. So I mean, let's be clear here, this is not smoggy like LA smoggy, this is smoggy by comparison. And that's really sad for me actually, because I can remember when I first came to Canada 25 years ago, there was no smog. It was one of the things that people boasted about, which was that we had this incredible city without smog. And it's not true today, unfortunately. Anyway, so couple of things. Number one, yay, we made it to 250,000 views this morning. Seems like yesterday that we started this, but isn't that amazing? It's difficult for me to describe how exciting that is for me. It's just, I can just remember the first nights lying there listening to the views come in, because you can actually you could actually hear them. I now make sure that I turn that off so I can get some sleep at night, but you can actually hear them, and I remember it so well. I was so excited all night. I remember saying time and time again that I felt like Mark Zuckerberg, you know, with Facebook, and I'm quite sure that Zuckerberg felt just as excited when he got to 250,000. So I think again and again and again, this is all about a lesson about life. And that is, you know, a lot of people would never have the patience to do this for 2 years. For what? You know, for the joy of it, really. I always say it's my time-consuming hobby. And it's really, really an exercise of amazement more than anything else. We had a really good weekend of broadcasting, and I thank everybody that came aboard. Seems to me we're getting more and more people coming to visit the broadcast, which is great. Obviously, some of them are very amusing, and some of them are quite thought-provoking. A case in point was yesterday. We were busy chit-chatting, catching up on everybody's news, and sort of talking about this and that, when one of the Vaughan viewers, you understand, some people who watch on the Vaughan broadcast don't necessarily watch on the other one, so we always like to see them on Vaughan. So one of the Vaughan viewers came on and said they had a problem and they wanted my opinion. So I said, sure, go right ahead. And kind of very long story short on this one, basically what the Vaughan viewer was saying was that somebody was taking a Photoshop program and cutting and pasting comments that he has not made into a Photoshop picture, and then passing them on to somebody else saying, this is what this person has said about them. Now, the viewer says it's totally untrue. He never said these things, that this is somebody being vindictive. And obviously very, very vindictive. This would be a bad enough story if it were not for the fact that the person that they're sending them to is somebody who has a mental disability. And the comments have had severe repercussions on the guy they've been sent to. And that is not only heartbreaking, it is close to cruelty to human beings. You know what I mean? You've got somebody who really is emotionally challenged, and then you suddenly do this to them as well. I would think that's close to criminal myself. So he wanted to know what he should do. And I said, well, he had lots of options as to what he should do. And I think, again, this is what I'm always trying to tell people, is you have lots of options in life. And so whether you're being bullied or whether you've got a situation where somebody's doing you wrong, you do have lots of options. You're not a victim if you don't want to be. So you can either, the obvious ones is you can either do something about it or not. Right? You can either choose to do something about it, or you can choose not to do anything about it. But if you choose not to do anything about it, then that you need to have the mental capacity to let it go. And that's not easy for a lot of people. You just have to let it go, if it's possible. Or else you have to do something about it. Now, in this particular case, I said you have choices as to what you may want to do about it. My first question was, this sounded to me like it happened during a broadcast, and it's happened twice apparently. And both times I found out was on Vaughan TV. So I said, well, write to the owner of Vaughan and tell them, you know, what's going on. And they should be able to track back the IP address of the person who's posting this and give them a warning. Of course, the obvious question is it the truth? You know what I mean? I'm presuming that this is the truth. But the interesting thing is that Vaughan will be able to track who uploaded this information. And if they can't, then for sure the fraud department can. So I said I wasn't quite sure what was going on in the States, but in Canada we now have anti-bullying laws. In other words, there is somewhere you can go where you can report bullying and somebody will do something about it. So, and I said, if that didn't work, then if you still really wanted to do something about it, then you know, he could go to a lawyer. Or go to the police. It's difficult to go to a lawyer before you go to the police because you need to find out who this person is. But basically there are things that are doable. You don't have to stay victim to it. So the other point was, you know, he said, but I want to get the guy to understand I didn't do this. And I said, well, you've already told me that you've tried to get him to understand that, and he doesn't want to believe you. And that's another whole discussion that I think if I could ever give you guys a really strong message, that I say it time and time and time again, and I'm going to keep saying it. You are only responsible for your behavior. If you apologize to somebody and they refuse to accept your apology or do not believe your truth, you need to let it go. Because no amount of you trying to convince them is necessarily going to convince them. Because people, once they get set in their ways, are inclined to stay set in their ways. So if people are saying nasty things about you, sometimes you've just got to let that go. And I assure you, in my lifetime, I have had some people say some incredibly nasty things about me. Totally untrue, totally undeserved, most of it through jealousy or whatever. And time again, I have been devastated by how could anybody be so cruel to do such a thing. And really, what I've learned over the years is it'll happen. Some people can be incredibly cruel. There's no doubt about it. And so it's not for you to change them, because you're not going to, I can tell you that. What we have to do is change ourselves. And I know in one case, the thing that happened to me was they accused me of something that there's no way in 1,000 years that I would ever do. And what happened was they spent a year trying to prove something that wasn't true. Well, obviously, they ended up not being able to prove it because it wasn't true, and looked very stupid. But in the meantime, a lot of people had heard about this accusation. And so a lot of people had it in their minds that maybe I did something wrong. And that clouds people's judgment. And if they're already sitting on the fence, you understand, that pushes them over. And what I had to learn, as difficult as it was, what I had to learn was that it is what it is. And I'm never going to change their minds, and that's okay with me. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not all those things, but it's not going to change. And if you want to believe that of me, then, you know, be my guest. I just choose not to be part of this anymore. And what I had to do was move on and find new friends and find new people that believed in me and replace those people in my life. And as you can probably imagine, the fact that they could even believe it of me was so unbelievable to me that it was just like, if you could even believe that I would do such a thing, then you're not the friend I thought you were. Because you don't know me at all. And so, I think this is a lesson for everybody. Because we all have people that bully us in our lives. We all have people that do, you know, things that really are quite shocking. And it was funny because I think it was Manon who wrote to me this morning and said something had happened, and I said, yeah, life gets in the way. And, you know, she said it seems to get in her way a lot. And I love that honesty from her. And I said, yes, and let me tell you something from my experience. It will continue to put things in your way a lot. Get used to it. And so, here's my message to you today, which is that life isn't easy some of the time. As much as you will want it to go the right way, sometimes it just doesn't. And you need to know it's just a passing thing. You know, it's not the end of your life. It's not life changing. What it is, it's just one of those blips in your life. And you just, 5 years from now, it really won't matter a great deal. Although right now it feels like it does. And so you just need to wait it out and do what you need to do to survive the pain of it and then move on. And I have had to do it so many times in my life, it's not even funny. I've had a lot of disappointments and a lot of nasty things happen. Whether it's in relationships or with people I thought were friends that turned out not to be. You know, all those sort of things. But it's unfortunately just part of life. So our job is to do the best we can and not to spend our lives sucked in by the negativity of others. And I really would encourage you in those times where life's in your way to do whatever you can to talk to positive people and to work your way through it. You need to talk it out. You need to talk your anger, your disappointment, your frustration, all those things. You need to talk those out. Get them out of your mind as far as you can so that your mind can clear and deal with positive things. And then we get back to the good news. The good news is that, you know, DearMamaSal hasn't been without its problems, I can assure you. There have been moments when I thought, oh gosh, can I keep doing this? And then, you know, it's been really cute because the answer is, can I not keep doing this? Much more important. And so the way that we've made it through to 250,000 is that we're still here. We're still doing exactly what we're meant to do. We're still putting up videos. We're still, you know, taking good days and bad days and just doing what we need to do. So I really, really encourage you. Whatever your goal is, just keep working towards it. Some days you'll feel like you're really getting, you know, on the right track, and other days you'll wonder whether you'll ever get there. It's okay. Just keep doing what you know you need to do. And it will hopefully all fall in place. And you know that you will also find out that, I've got a frog in my throat this morning, haven't I? Excuse me. You'll also find out that once you get to your goal, that it was actually the journey that was the fun bit. Getting to 250,000 was the fun bit, because as soon as you get there, which I just have this morning, you know, immediately your mind is on, I wonder how long it'll take to get to 500,000, or whether we'll ever get there. And the answer is, let's find out. Let's take it step by step, easy stuff, difficult stuff. Let's see what happens. And for all of you who saw my vlog yesterday about the pineapple corer and slicer, you will know that I literally picked that thing up because I thought it would amuse you to see me, you know, splosh pineapple all over my table. Because I was pretty darn sure that's what was going to happen. And I hope that you were amazed at the shock in my voice. The absolute amazement in my voice when it actually worked. And so, I want to tell you, there was part of me many months ago that thought it might be possible to get to 100,000. Until we reached it. And when we got to 100,000, you understand, I immediately thought, maybe we can get to 150,000. And then, maybe we can get to 200,000. And then, the unbelievable dream, what if we could get to 250,000? And yet, here's the funny thing. Having said that, I noticed that as soon as we get to 250,000, my mind jumps to, wow. What if we get to 500,000? Do you understand? It was no longer a small jump, it was a big jump. Which tells me, if I keep doing the right things, we probably will. Not guaranteed, because life can get in the way, not guaranteed. But likely, very likely. So keep doing what you need to do to achieve your goal. They say that failure is when you give up trying. If you're still working on a goal and haven't achieved it yet, you haven't failed. You're just finding another way to do it. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, don't quit on your goals, they're very important. If you've had a dream that you think you can achieve, the chances are you probably can. If you do the right things. These speed bumps drive me mad every morning. I think it was Oz who said, I want to know where that piece of road is where you keep driving over those dead bodies. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have a great day. Bye for now.